What we do here is go back.
Let's try that. I think that is probably I think we're live. Potentially, possibly. Good evening everyone, Mike here from Mike's Unboxing Reviews and How To. Kath's over there, so do feel free to send her any messages. She is actually waving. It's a virtual wave, obviously. Tonight is the it was a real one actually. Tonight is February the I don't even know what day it is. What was it? The 20th of the 2nd, 2021. There's a lot of, actually there's 2101, so there's lots of 2s and 1s and 0s in the date currently. So sad. Anyway, tonight's stream we'll be discussing the pros and the cons of building a budget PC. We won't actually be building it in this stream, this is just the kind of intro and all that kind of usual stuff and taking some of your questions and answers and stuff from the week and some of my escapades. But we will be discussing mostly about building a budget PC, or at least trying to. Also as well, we will probably, well hopefully, be taking some super chats from those of you that are watching. And we've had one in already from Ugly Bob who says, happy anniversary Mike and Kath. Thank you very much. It was Kath and mine, that's terrible grammar. It was our anniversary on Friday? Yesterday, losing track of days. 25 years of marriage. Silver wedding anniversary. Wow, never thought we'd make it that far. Waiting for Kath's reply. the stream didn't freeze then, that was me. Dear. So yeah, 25 years, Kath, thank you for putting up with me.
Thank you for putting up.
I don't know how you've managed it, but there are some psychotic people in the world. Anyway. So yeah, if you want to send a super chat in, it will come in on there. We'll answer your questions and also you set off the RGB bulb and Kath has to get up and turn the lights off. Usual drill. Most of you have seen it before, so we won't go too much into that. But obviously, yeah, if you want to help out the channel, please do so. It all helps and goes towards me buying crap like this, which that's a little bit unfair. It's not crap, but for those of you that watched my B450 Tomahawk review back probably, was that 6 months ago now, possibly? I actually paid more for this board than I did the Tomahawk one. And the Tomahawk one was arguably slightly better than this one. But there is some method in my madness. Not a lot, but there is a little. Now this all started out because obviously we've been accumulating parts as you tend to do, and we've been sent various things such as these fans from GIM, which are actually pretty cool. But for sort of more expensive builds, probably not the most, what's the word I'm looking for? They're not going to set off a more expensive or pricey build. So in the back of my mind, I've been thinking, as time's been going on, I really need to do a more budget orientated system. Now we do mostly budget stuff anyway, but I really wanted to dig deep into that budget marketplace because at the moment, there isn't anything you can buy. Everything you can buy is pretty much expensive. The only thing which is relatively good at the moment is hard drives and SSDs. They're fantastic prices at the moment. Motherboards, not quite so great. They're kind of hanging around. Memory prices are starting to go up a little, which, yeah, I'm not too sure how that's going to pan out. And obviously, processors and graphics cards are like hen's teeth, unicorn tears, etc. Add your own mystical being here. Graphics cards and CPUs are ridiculously expensive and getting worse and worse. Although saying that, the Ryzen 5 3600 has been kind of plateauing at the moment, around about the 180 mark here in the UK, which isn't offensive. It's not cheap, but it's not entirely offensive. It has been over £200 numerous times. I think the lowest we've seen it in here in the UK is probably about 155. So if you think 160, 170 is about the kind of the normal MSRP for that here, 180 doesn't seem overly crazy. And there is some availability, so it's not all doom and gloom. Partially doom and gloom, but not all doom and gloom. So anyway, getting back to the subject. So there's other things that I've picked up as time's gone on. I picked up this Toshiba 2TB drive, which actually I was going to use in one of my NAS, but it's 2 TB, doesn't really stretch a long way when you're looking at doing big backups and storing loads of music and all that kind of stuff. So that is really going to be better off in a system as a game drive, Steam drive, that kind of thing. So fans, I've got an old OCZ hard drive, SSD rather, which again wouldn't really benefit much in a modern system, but for a slightly older system, absolutely fantastic. So some of these bits have come together. We've also picked up the Geforce GT1030, which I've already stolen from myself, so that is an empty box. And there's also bargains on the market like the Cylon power supplies, Cylon 700 watt there. It's about £36 at the moment. The 500 watt one you can get for about £25 at the moment, which is actually phenomenal value for money for a 500 watt, 80 plus white rated power supply, which is kind of borderline bronze anyway. I really like them. Those air-cooled power supplies, fantastic, great value for money. We've done a few reviews on them. I've used a few of them as well. And as of yet, so far, no issues found, so that's always a plus. So what I'm looking at doing is putting together a cheap budget system. So I went onto Amazon, the Amazon warehouse deals, which if you haven't been there before, you can actually pick up some awesome stuff on there, you really can. And when I seen the B450 board, actually, let's preface this, let's go back a little bit further.
You should go back to say hello first.
I should say hello actually. Let's get the hellos out of the way, because I haven't said hello to you guys and that's a little bit rude. I am a little bit rude. I am semi-autistic, so these things don't always come naturally to me.
You might have it full blown though.
Yeah, Kath says I might have it full blown. I don't know. Maybe we should have a vote on it. I'll do a straw poll. Paul Bakewell says something. Ugly Bob, second. Atom Morex. Who else we got? Ultimate Tech Hub says not the first, but who's counting? I'm certainly not. W Tech says we can't build on a budget mic. No GPUs. Well, you don't necessarily need a GPU, but it is beneficial if you can. Who else we got with us? W Tech. John Sullivan says hi guys. God, that monitor's a bit far away actually. It's making my eyes hurt. John Sullivan, Ugly Bob, we've said already, W Tech, blah 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 blah. Scrolling down through. I should have done this earlier actually, less to go through. Matthew Day has got his basic cheese cheapy pizza and a potato. Awesome. Carb yourself right up. Richard says, even though has anyone here turned to the dark side and entered into the realm of casual mining yet? Funny enough, I actually installed some mining software on my PC today, and I stopped at the part of where it said it was a virus and not allowing me to go any further. And then looking at the instructions for nice hash, it says, yeah, go ahead and disable your antivirus and put a, basically allow the executable to run. And because it's on my main system, it's like, yeah, might need to build a separate rig for that, I think. A little bit scary. But yeah, it has actually been on my mind recently, it really has. Let's with us and says, Ugly Bob, cheese is awesome. Cheese is awesome, I agree. Unless you're lactose intolerant, in which case cheese is problematic. Who else we got? Blah, 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 Ugly Bob, we've said. Zars Coin says live. Yep, I certainly. Yep, still am. Wildlife Snapper says evening all. Ugly Bob, we did that. Sky Stalker, our man in Canada. that didn't work, did it? Good evening to you. W Texas, how you doing, Mike? Yes, I'm doing reasonable, which for me is pretty good. Patrick LaBelle's with us. And Harry McFarlane says, hi, Kath. Hey.
That's because I'm saying hi.
Hey. We've been married for 25 years. Cut that shit out. Russell's Review says hi. Hi, Russell. What are you reviewing? Hopefully not the same stuff I am. James Miscellaneous says, budget PC, what is such a thing? Yes, Aletta would not approve. Although she might use it as a doorstop or something to stop the dogs going out somewhere.
Stop the drafts.
Yeah, draft excluder. Doubles up as a mining system and a draft excluder. What more could you want? WTech says, do I see a 1030 there? Yeah, you do. Well, you don't actually, because the box is empty. That is currently residing in my my Intel 10100F system, sadly. So I might have to get another one. Uh-oh. I thought Kath was pointing something out then, but it's just, she needs to charge her phone. Markovsky says, happy silver, guys. Thank you very much. Sky Stalker says, 25 years is awesome. Yes, and the same that you'd get for robbing a bank here in the United Kingdom.
God bless Snapper. I managed 25 years with my ex, then we split the house 50-50. She got the inside, I got the outside.
Ooh. Ooh. Preddy says, good evening. Outlaw Fett says, sorry I'm late. It's no problem. There's no dress code or time code for this particular stream, or any of them, to be honest with you. Captain Meets Adventure says, hey unboxers, I'm pretty sure it was Captain Meets Adventure's birthday as well, either this week or possibly next week. And I may have got that wrong. I may see actual murder in his eyes. You'll understand. Who else we got?
Your wife now.
Dave Aikens in the house says, hi Mike and Kath. How you doing, Dave? David. Do you know what? Some people, I really worry about saying their names correctly or getting the actual thing right, because I'm Michael. My name is Michael. That's my birth given name. But I go by Mike. Everyone calls me Mike or other 4-letter words. But for certain people, I know Dave, or David rather, is one of those snagging points. There's been quite a few people I've met over my lifetime who have been named as David, but yet if you call them Dave, they get a little bit upset about it. I'm not sure if I've had this conversation with David. Possibly. I may have slipped out Dave every now and then. If I did, I apologise. If it's fine, then I'll retract that apology. Cafrail says, hi, what do you recommend for a $500 USD PC now with the COVID situation? 500 USD, this probably will be around about 500 USD when it's all done and dusted, I think. It's going to be very close, which is pretty frightening.
Excuse me.
Gary says, my wife and I have been together 43 years. Wow, that is awesome. And he's only 35?
Captain Meat's birthday is in June.
Oh.
I did see someone say it's their birthday.
Yeah, I did as well.
Person.
ClickTech Kev says, too early for Kerry's stream, so might as well watch this shite instead. Thanks, Kev. You didn't say shite, I added that for dramatic effect. Captain Meat says, my birthday is June, but love the shout out. Okay. Oh dear. Ugly Bob says, or the bloke from The Mummy. I do get that a lot. David says, Erin says, David, I will respond to Dave or David, been called worse. I'm in that same boat, my friend. Thank you for the super chat. I've not seen who that's come in from yet.
No, I didn't.
Someone?
Outlaw Fat.
Outlaw Fett, thank you very much for the super chat. I'm trying to get through these. Oh, actually, it's there anyway. That's good. Yeah, Markovsky says Rodney from Only Fools and Horses used to get upset about being called Dave. Trigger used to always call Rodney Dave all the time. It was great. All right, Dave. Brilliant. ClickTech Kev says, I've been with Claire for 24 years and married 20 in September. I thought that was long. Oh, bless. Taylor says, GPU market is hell. It is absolute hell at the moment. Waldo135 says, Mike, should I get a Ryzen 5 3600 and an RTX 3060 Ti for my PC build in August? Personally, I would say, oh, actually, I don't know. My gut instinct is to say wait till August. see what happens pricing wise. But as I said before, sometimes it's just best to just go for it. Just get it and use it. If you need it, get it, buy it. Worry about how much this costs you after. Buyer's remorse can be kicked in at any point. Trust me, I know, I've been there. There's many times I've bought stuff and then either the next day or the next week or whatever, the price is gone, either halved or large percentages off. And I have actually wanted to put my testicles in a vice and tighten just to remove the pain that my wallet is experiencing. So
that's DFS, wasn't it?
that was DFS, yeah. Bastards. I'm okay. David Thompson says, I hate Davey. Yeah, I can understand that.
It's like a pet name when you put a Y on the end.
Yeah, if you put a Y on the end of it, it kind of almost insinuates either a pet name or you're some kind of dipshit. Like you go to a building site and everyone's got like they put Y on the end of it. Oh, who's that? Oh, that's Paulie, or there's Davey, or there's Johnny. Oh, actually, no, that doesn't work. Let's move on. Kathy. That's Kath's favourite. Do call her Kathy with a C. She appreciates that immensely.
I don't really care about the C.
Matthew Day needs actual psychiatric help, I think. I'm not sure. Possibly. Potentially. Matthew Day says, I resorted to bidding on a GT640. Man. Harry McFarlane says, Mike, on Currys, there are loads of GPUs in stock. They're in stock, but they're really expensive. Currys are not known for being cheap, and yeah, I will double check. I could be wrong. It has happened before. Certainly we'll have to take a look. Stuart Cleary says, congrats on 25 years married. Me and my wife Margaret are married 25 years in July 2020. Margaret! I love that.
Oh, so no, because he was 95 for money. I've just added, my maths is just showing that.
Alexander Orlov says, hello, Mike and Kath. Stopped watching a Linus stream to tune in. Well, thank you very much. What's Linus streaming? Actually, no, I don't really care. Stephen says it's getting more crazy by the day. Seeing the 3080 going for €2,000. Oh, and hello, Mike too. Ugly Bob says she would rip my pods off if I called her Kathy. Potentially she might. Pretty. Yeah, so I think it's fair to say that the PC market is effed. Please, let's all see Fs in the chat for the PC market right now. It is absolutely ruined. Actually, going back to Currys, I was just thinking about that. Currys generally tend to have, they say it's in stock, but normally it's just like one of everything. They put it on for a really good price and then it's sold out immediately. But it gets interest and gets clicks. They're well known for that. Yeah, overpriced. Yeah, there's some Fs in the chat. Thanks, guys. It is insanity. If you really need a PC at the moment, it must be extremely difficult. Now, I consider myself exceptionally blessed that all the PCs I need, I have, and probably a little bit of excess as well, which is always handy to have. But even so, trying to actually sell a PC isn't easy. David Aiken would agree as well. Had some issues with a PC or laptop rather that was sold. I've not had issues as such, but some of the people that have asked me questions about a PC that I've been selling recently, you get that overwhelming feeling that kind of it's just going to end up being an absolute nightmare, and quite often it does. So buying a PC isn't easy at the moment. Selling a PC actually isn't that easy because people want more for their money, and PCs are worth more now than what they were. So when you try and sell a budget system at even just a break-even price, people are still turning their noses up or saying, well, how about I give you like £100 less? So how about I give you a punch in the face? It's that exact same thing. Ugly Bob says, F, £2. Thank you, Bob, appreciate that. I just noticed there actually that someone said about getting the console at the moment. I'm probably in the minority that I actually hate consoles. I genuinely despise consoles. I would not buy a console. The only potential reason I might do it is if I knew there was loads of videos I could make on it, like how-tos, and it would recoup the costs, because I see a console as an entire waste of money. Now, obviously, shoot me down in flames. Bob, you've broken the bloody RGB again. Damn it. Anyway, moving on. So, I don't like consoles. I generally don't. I've had an Xbox 360. Well, I've actually had most of them. The only ones I haven't had are PlayStations, because I don't like PlayStation full stop. George has them, so it was pointless me getting one. But I've had the original Xbox, the Xbox 360, Xbox One, and that kind of ended it for me. It was just always a matter of whenever you...
Games were just rubbish.
Yeah, rubbish games. You turn the console on and it's just downloading loads of crap all the time. Like, oh, this needs a system update of 5 gigs before you can play. It's like... At least with Windows games, it's not too bad. If you need a Windows update, it'll just do it in the background. But Xbox is like, no, we refuse to let you do anything until this update's done. It's like, okay, fine. I don't want it anymore. Got rid of it. Anyway, let's move on. So, the budget PC. We're trying to actually price this up and see what it is worth. I might get Kath to write down the prices actually, so I can total them up.
Calculator.
Calculator? That might be useful. Anyway, moving back to the board. So, B450-A Pro, or Pro-A as I always call it, because I get it wrong, so I'm stupid. This is effectively the poor man's Tomahawk. It's got the same VRM as the Tomahawk, the B450 Tomahawk that is. Difference being is the heat sinks are a little bit different. This only has 12-volt RGB, like the Tomahawk as well, and it's got a kind of slightly brown PCB. Other than that, not a huge amount of difference. This effectively is part of MSI's Pro range, hence the Pro series. So it's got all the quality features that you'd expect, but it hasn't got any of the frills. So yeah, it is what it is. Yeah, both of those. So it came through and actually it's in decent nick, but I'll put the overhead camera on so you can see what it looks like. I've actually got my decent overhead camera now, so you can actually see things. Dun dun dun! Overhead camera that works and is more than 720p, although I can't get things right. So there we go. There's the board, and currently, as you can see, residing on it is at the moment a Ryzen. I don't know if that's going to focus on that actually. I won't even try it. It's a Ryzen 2200G. Actually, let's try it. No, it's not going to do it. I hate this camera. I'm glad I put it out there, but I hate the camera still. Anyway, so it's a 2200G that's on there. It's actually a nice board. It's got, see, decent heat sinks on the both stages of the VRM, 4 RAM sticks, or slots rather, 5 fan headers, 6 SATA ports, only 1 M.2, which is a little bit of a, I would say it's the downside, but ultimately these days NVMe drives and M.2 drives aren't that cheap anyway, so sometimes you're actually better off going with something like one of those OCZ drives and SSD, or go with one of the old famous, go with the hard disk drive and tons of storage. I/O is actually pretty decent on this bad boy. So we've got USB, sorry, not USB, you've got USB flash button, which you can't see. Gary, thank you for your $15 super chat. Appreciate it. Isn't Gary lovely? Say yes, Kath.
Yes.
She said that so quietly.
It's thank you.
Ridiculous. She said thank you as well. Waldo's right. The brown PCB is like someone's taken a crap on this, really, it has. For a lot of people, brown, like, it depends actually the lighting you're in. Most lighting, when it's kind of in the system, you're not really going to notice it's brown. This was the same deal with the Gigabyte, the B450 Gaming X.
And Old Kent Road.
And Old Kent Road and...
Oh, I say Whitehall, is not, is it?
No, what's the other one on Monopoly? Old Kent Road and... Come on in the chat, someone let us know.
These, usually.
Matthew Day says that hard disk drive looks precarious. It's a bit, doesn't it? I'll put that down. I've not been having much luck. Now, the reason why there's a 2200G on there is because some of you may have seen already this week on our Discord, because I posted it, but this happened. So that is my 3000G, which I purchased from CEX, which come through actually ridiculously badly packaged, but actually made it intact.
Whitechapel.
Whitechapel, thank you very much, Kev. That's really good. So there is. Oh, there we go. Gary says, "Happy anniversary for the." There's the $15 to buy some smoothie packets. That won't get very far with those bloody smoothies. We'll talk about that later when I calm down. So there is my there's my processor, as you can see, and I was filming some BIOS flashing material on the, I can't remember what board it was now. Basically, just doing some videos which I've been asked to do, and I put the processor on the side of a phone box, and of course I was in a rush. I moved the box, and the processor went flying across the room, and oh, that's too far. And as you can see,
Ugly Bob said the CPU looks like Moses came along apart.
it did. That looks like, it does look terrible, doesn't it? I don't think the picture actually, I genuinely don't think it does it justice. It was a lot worse.
It was like straightening cooked spaghetti.
Yeah, it was like cooked spaghetti or those pasta twirls. So that is from one angle. And there is on the other edge. So you can see, actually, you can't really see because it didn't focus particularly well, but that pin there, which I'm just highlighting, actually came off. You can probably just about see there, the pad is raised off. I apologise for the crap picture. The rest of them are all bent to absolute hell. And even the ones further down, like on this end, they're all out of skew as well. You can see there's multiple odd pins there, 1 and 2 there, 3 and 4, a couple more. Basically, we lost about 2 or 3 pins. 3, Kath says.
And it was bent on the other side as well. But I think
and there is a top shot. So if you look at the top there, you can just about see, actually that's not a bad picture. So you can see those there. They're like the worst set of teeth on a person you'd ever see. They're pretty bad. You can see there's multiple pins which are bent on that top section. The top section actually wasn't too bad. It could have been considerably worse. Yeah. This section here was hell on earth. It really was. And how Kath managed to fix it, I do not know. She was sat there for ages with some tweezers.
A nail file.
And a nail file, trying to straighten them out. And eventually, we actually managed to get it to fit on the board, which is currently now, it actually booted up, and that CPU is currently in my media PC in the front room. So I figured I'm never going to be able to sell it because I wouldn't want someone to have it with missing pins, etc. If there's any issues with it, then I'm going to deal with them. So I've taken the 2200G out of my InWin B1 system, which is in the front room, which doesn't get a lot of use, and I swapped it for the 3000G. Domas, yes, it is, or Dom rather, I should say. It is the 3000G. It did take an absolute battering, which is not good. So it's not the end of the world. It works in yeah, it is what it is. It's working now. It's in use. I'm actually doing some Windows updates in the back room, so yeah, it's all good. But that has left me now with the 2200G on a half decent B450 motherboard. So realistically, all this needs, I've got some RAM. Actually, RAM is the one thing which I'm kind of on the fence about. I could just get, I've got some really cheap Corsair RAM which I could use.
I think it's Uber Eats.
Sorry about that, there's a doorbell.
Sorry, they just tried phoning, but
We could go with some Corsair RAM. I've got some cheapo Corsair RAM, DDR4 3000. Or alternatively, I do have somewhere, yeah, so I got some V-Color RAM up there, which is the RGB stuff, which RGB is always going to be a bit of a problem on this board because of the nature of the chipset, B450, and it hasn't got addressable RGB. So I'm thinking of leaving the RGB totally down to the fans and the fan controller, that sort of stuff. Leaving this as it is. Also, it means I don't have to install Red Dragon sensor, which potentially could be a blessing as well. But overall, I think it's actually, potentially this is a really good board and could do very, very well. Got decent slots, nice layout. It lacks M.2 ports. But again, if it's a moderately cheap system, so as far as it stands at the moment, the processor, the 2200G, I bought for £40 ages ago. So that's lucky. That means I can actually potentially level out the rest of the parts to actually make this work and sell it for what it's cost me and not lose out any money, which is ultimately what I want to do. So the motherboards cost me £60. So as it stands there, the 2200G and that motherboard, which is pretty decent, stands me in at £100. Now I think realistically I could sell that as it is now on somewhere like Facebook Marketplace for probably about 120, 140 possibly, because of the money that's been made on the 2200G. I won't do that because I want to get rid of some other stuff with it, but that is kind of my thoughts with it so far. The DDR RAM I got, the DDR4 Corsair stuff, I think I paid about, I think it was about 16, 17 pounds for 16 gigs. So that could work out favourable in here. Oh, Cap's laughing. What have I got to see? Captain Meet the TV.
You've learned not to read out loud until you know it's safe.
Yeah, I do. I have to read Captain Meets Adventures comments in my head first of all before I say anything out loud, because sometimes his comments can be a little bit
funny.
Dutch Jan says, why buy a new 450 if the 550 is the same price? Well, that is, you probably come in a little bit late, but the 450, B450, this was £60. And the only boards you can get around about £60 for the B550 range are well, you can. Essentially, it's the A520, which is pretty useless for overclocking. This will overclock like an absolute champ. I can probably get that chip up to probably about 3.9 relatively easily, maybe a bit higher if I'm lucky. So it will run like an absolute champ. It'll probably run like a 3200G easily. So overclocking is going to be simple on this. Also upgradability as well. Obviously, you can go backwards. So you could have a 1000 series, so it's like a 1700X. You could have a 2700X, 3600, 5600. I wouldn't recommend a 3900 or 3950 on there really, or 5950, that kind of thing. But realistically, if you're buying that sort of processor, you're not going to be wanting to buy a board like this anyway. You really, really wouldn't. So that's the board and processor. That's what the plans are. The case, I would show you, but unfortunately, one of the cats is actually asleep on it. So let me see if I can find a picture. No, that's all right, don't worry.
You could just put him up on the desk anyway.
I don't want him on there.
Horrible.
The case is going to be a relatively cheap one, but actually not too bad. I agree. Come on. So where are we?
Amy.
Yes, I accept the cookies. Whatever. There we go. So that is the case that we're going to be using. I don't think there's any information on there that I need to hide. No, we're all good. So that is a nice looking case in my opinion. It's cheap as chips as well, 30 quid or less than 30 quid on Amazon. That is the Ionz KZ16.
Is that actually on it?
And what's that, Kath?
That's right. I was going to say, is that an Amazon page?
It is, but it's incognito, so it doesn't show our stuff. It's awesome.
No, because I couldn't find the other one.
Okay. So look at what you can put in this thing. So you can put two 120mm fans in the top. You can potentially put a radiator in as well. There's a bit of room. Motherboard support, tons of motherboard support. You can put in the front two 200mm fans, which is pretty insane. Alternatively, you can put in three 120mm fans, and actually what they've omitted from there is you can also put in two 140mm fans, which I'm more likely, because it's not going to require a huge amount of cooling, because of what we're using, I'm going to go with three fans. So one in the back, two at the front. And it's a really nice little case. It's missing a basement, which some people may not like, but I don't really care. Yeah, it's a nice case, plenty of options for wiring. I have got to do a review on the case. I've actually got this case already. I've got to do an unboxing on it, so we'll go through that anyway and see what options there are and what can be done. But I think it doesn't look too bad. For 30 quid, I don't think you can ask for a lot more. It was either that or the KZ10 or maybe the KZ21. But we've used those before, so I figured I'd give this a go. And I quite like the tempered glass because it's quite dark on the side, so it's going to hide some of the multiples of sins that are going to be inside. But it's a nice open chassis. Plenty of airflow. Happy days. I'm not going to get it coming back to me with someone going, but there's no airflow, because they'd be definitely wrong, because this thing is going to have a ton of airflow, you can just tell. It's got slits on the front and slits on the side. The only thing is dust collection, but again, it's less than 30 quid for a case. What do you expect? I think it's got the markings or all the kind of the looks of being a really decent little build. So anyway, that's the case. What do you think? Let me know in the comments. I'll be interested to know what you guys think about it. I'm looking forward to building to it. I haven't built in a case that didn't have a basement for, well, I think the last one I did without a basement was probably the Q300L from Cooler Master, which was such a long time ago. Ooh, I hated that case. It looked nice, but I hated it. So that is the case when we put it in. I think it's going to work out really well. So we've got the SSD, we're going to go with that. That has got a value of probably about 20 quid. Actually, let's total it up, Kath. Calculator time.
I've got it up already.
Okay, so CPU, we'll say 40. Motherboard is 60. These are going to be break-even prices, mine, so do bear that in mind. The SSD, let's say, for a 240 gig SSD is probably, I don't know, £25. Let's say £25 for argument's sake. A 2 terabyte hard disk drive, arguably for say £50. I think it's probably close enough. The GIM fan set, which I think was that about 20?
I have no idea.
I think that was about £20 for the fan set, so say £20 for the fans. And the power supply, although we've got the Cylon 700 here, we'll probably go with the 500 because, well, that's just ridiculous overkill anyway. So I'm going to get another Cylon 500 watt power supply, so that's going to be £26, I think, £27. Say 30 for argument's sake. So, oh, and the case, £29.
30.
Yeah, say 30. So, is that it?
Power supply? 20. Yeah, it was
Yeah.
30, wasn't it? Memory?
Memory. We haven't done memory. Memory we should definitely do. Say 16 gigs of RAM. I paid probably about £17 or £18, but that was ridiculous pricing, I think. So if we go with what it would cost roughly new, so let's say 50. It's more than that, but let's say 50. So
Buy a graphics card.
Graphics card we don't really need because we've got onboard graphics. So if we do it without the graphics card, we could probably make this work out for about £300. Which actually, for £300 with a 2 terabyte, that doesn't sound right. It really doesn't. That doesn't sound right at all. Run through it again. So the first, we've got 4.
So I've got 40, 60, 25.
I think it's the 40 for the processor is the one which is like making it, because realistically the processor is probably worth about 80. Well, at least new anyway, or newer. So yeah, 40, 60.
25.
Yeah, probably is about right, isn't it?
50, 20, 30, 30, and 50.
Yeah, that sounds about right. So if we do get some cheaper RAM, we could definitely bring it in underneath £300 target, which £300 for a 2200G, that's 4 cores, you've got Vega 8 graphics, you're going to be able to play games on it. They're not going to be great, clearly, but it's doable. And potentially what you could do is, I could give the option of putting in the GT1030, which isn't going to be massively better than the Vega 8, but it would free up some of the system resources.
Is the Cylon black cables?
Yeah.
Matthew Day wondered.
Yes, the Cylon is black cables, yeah. We could put that in there. That's going to add on about another 70 quid. So for, say, DDR3.
If you don't put that in, you could get better, faster RAM.
The RAM would probably be DDR4 3200. So it's not really much point going a lot faster than that, especially with the B450 chipset and that processor. It will, well, officially it maxes out at 2666, but you can get it to run with 3200. It does do that quite easily. I think that's the most stable part. You don't want to overclock it too much, or run it too hot, or push it too far, especially if it's a system you're selling. If you're keeping it, you can tweak it and do what you like, but I think, yeah, for 300 quid with that case, I think it's going to turn out really nice. So we are going to be doing that build, or this build rather, we are actually going to physically put together, and I am going to do it for sure. When I say we, I mean me. Kath will be.
That's how we've lasted 25 years. Kath
will be taking your comments and questions and relaying them to me when I'm up to my eyes in screwdrivers and thermal paste and hopefully disco balls. We'll be doing that. It might be tomorrow. If not, it'll be Monday. One of those days, I'm not too sure. But we are going to put it together and actually see what it's like and see what we can actually achieve around about the £300 mark. It is going to be interesting. When you think that for 300 quid is basically the price nowadays of a RX 590, which is just ridiculous in itself, we can assemble a whole PC with a genuine Windows 10 license for 500 quid. 300 quid, I mean. So that'll be interesting. Also then as well, potentially if something does come along, like if I see a bit of a bargain for something like maybe a GTX 760, what else is there? Probably not really like to get anything bargain wise, so we'll have to look around and see what we can get. Maybe an older Radeon card would be pretty decent in there. An R9 380 or 390 would be perfect, absolutely perfect to go in there, to give it a little bit of a boost if you can get one cheap enough. But yeah, I'm quite looking forward to it. We've not done anything on a real kind of shoestring budget for a long time, and I think that is the problem. I really enjoy this stuff because it's really trying to make something which you can be proud of, that looks nice, works well, doesn't cost an absolute fortune, but still can get you on the ladder for PC gaming. Now the Vega 8 graphics isn't brilliant. We know this, it is a thing. But you could, when prices get better, chuck in a half decent graphics card in there, something like a 1660 Super, and still have a really good experience with it. So flexible, yeah, I'm looking forward to it. I really am. Genuinely looking forward to it, which these days is a hard thing to say because most of the stuff is like, oh God, drudgery because it's so expensive. Excuse me. So yeah, we'll see how it goes. Waldo says, looks nice with the brown PCB. It does. It does. The brown PCB is something which upsets me a little bit, which is why I went for that case rather than some of the other ones with a completely clear side panel, because it is going to disguise it a little bit. I think actually when it's put together, it's going to look pretty decent. I've got some older 12 volt RGB headers on the board, and I'm sure I've got some RGB strips in here somewhere. So we might end up putting those in there as well, just to give it a little bit more of a inside glow. Doesn't look pretty cool. I'm not too sure what cooler to go with it though. So I'll probably look to you guys for a little bit of input on that. I was considering the Arctic Freezer 13X, but I don't know whether that's overkill for a 2200G. But then on the flip side, I was thinking Arctic Freezer 34CO, which is quite cheap at the moment, around 20 quid. So it doesn't need it, but it might just lift the build a little bit to put a cooler like that on there, especially seeing as we can see inside easily. Excuse me, Dutch Jan has been very generous and is going to donate us £1,500 and says that's a much better budget. Thank you very much, we appreciate that donation. What does Stuart say? Stuart says, good value builds are more interesting than the likes of Ionz videos with multi-$1,000 builds. Yeah, I think you've hit the nail on the head there. That is where
We differ.
You know,
We're
if we wanted to, we could probably go out and spend a load of money on stuff.
we couldn't
But
afford it, but
there's no point because it doesn't really interest me because anyone can get a fast PC if you throw enough money at it. There's no skill involved. There's no tricks. There's no knowledge. It's basically like a football team. Buying the most expensive best player on the earth does not make you a good coach or manager. It just means that you've got a lot of money and you can buy the players you want. Same with a PC. You can buy the most expensive stuff out there, put it together, yeah, you'll have a fast PC. But it's actually having the knowledge and the ability to tweak stuff or to get good value for money, which I personally think is much better. Yes.
a bit like a scrapyard challenge thing.
Yeah, it's like a scrapyard challenge, basically trying to put all these dog pile pieces together and come up with something which is half decent, which we might do. Trojan says graphics cards are so expensive right now. They are insanely expensive. They really and truly are.
Can Flame me sit next to you?
Yeah, James Mussolini says Nvidia is always evolving their methods to extract the most dollars. They find manipulating inventory can be very lucrative, whether the shortages are by design or not. Even trash is gold now. Value, questionable. Yeah, I totally agree. David Aikens says Prism Wraith is a solid cooler to grab for a used budget, 2200G. You can get them on Facebook Marketplace, 15 quid. I've actually got the Wraith Prism here, I think. Yes, I have got a Wraith Prism, I think. Have a look. Crash, yes. There we go. We've got a Wraith Prism with the dual heat pipes and a ton of copper. That is a classy cooler. So yeah, we could put that in there and that would definitely get the job done. A little bit of extra cabling to worry about, but other than that, absolutely fine. I think that is probably a good solution actually. A good solution to a problem that we don't necessarily have. Markovsky says Ryzen APUs are really improved by tinkering with RAM. Yep. Jay says, like years ago, only people with fast cars could turn wrenches. Now Big Wallet will do. Unfortunately, they don't know crap about it. Yeah.
Do you want another drink?
Oh yeah, go on in, please. Bear with me a second. I just got to drink this. Hugh says, the high dollars take the fun out of the build. Yeah, they do. I love searching for bargain parts. It's really, for me, it's interesting. And it's a challenge as well to try and work out what you can actually do, what you can put together. Like 300 quid for a PC that is actually going to be pretty powerful and look nice. And I actually have a ton of storage. 2 terabytes of storage is a lot of storage. That's, on my main system, my NVMe drive is 2 terabytes. And that is split between my video editing stuff and my games. So you could put a ton of stuff on there and not have to worry about it for a long, long time. I think the fans are going to look really nice in there. Little couple of splashes of RGB in there. And a couple of decent pictures, and I think Facebook Marketplace will snap it up. And also, the good thing is about PCs like this, because it's not very expensive, if you flog it on Facebook Marketplace or you sell it on eBay, it's not that immediate worry of, oh God, what happens if something goes wrong? Like, don't get me wrong, 300 quid is a lot of money, but it could be a lot worse. It could be a £300 GPU in there as well, or a £300 processor and a £300 GPU, in which case then you're hitting like nearly £1,000 of a system. So this kind of stuff is great because it's just less worry, but I think it's more fun, definitely. Trev Good says, hi Mike and Kath. Disguised Deviant says ASMR gulps. Yeah, sorry about that. Aletta says, I still enjoy doing high-end water-cooled builds. Do you know what? I'm actually still looking for... I went on to AliExpress looking for a relatively cheapo water cooling solution. So a pump res combo, tubing, bits, all that kind of stuff. And I've been and done it again. I've been bitten by AliExpress where I've ordered something it's just not showing up. And they're not answering any questions or anything. I know it's Chinese New Year and all that kind of stuff, but come on, if you're a business and you're selling stuff, at least have one person on call, at least, answering emails or whatever. But that's 3 or 4 things now which I've had off AliExpress, which have all turned out to be absolute shockingly bad. So yeah, we may have to reinvestigate that. There's the exact same kits on eBay for about £50 more, and I am tempted. I really want to try it. I really want to try some custom loop stuff, especially in there. I think it's going to look nice in there. But anyway, yeah, that's a story for another day for sure. Ricardo says, Mike, 2 terabytes is a lot of space for gaming. 2021 games, Flight Sim, Cyberpunk, Red Dead. Hold my beer. Yeah, that's true. That is, yeah. They are getting bigger and bigger, I suppose. Dave Aiken says, RX 570s for 75 quid with a 25 quid i5 was my choice about a year back. Yeah. It's amazing how much things have changed in a year. Lemon Skydiver 60. That's a great name. I like that. I'm building my computer, just need the CPU. It's an RX 580 build with the Ionz KZ16 case. Excellent. I think it's turned out to be 410 without the CPU.
Did we add the
That's not too bad.
thing in?
The what thing?
Storage.
Storage?
2 terabytes storage.
Oh, what, into the price? Yeah, it's about 50.
See what you were adding.
Gary says use a garden hose instead of a setup from AliExpress. Do you know what? I've actually, for those of you who know me on a more personal basis, or you've listened to some of the streams, you'll be aware that I also work part-time in a motor store. So there is actually tubing in there, which is used for other purposes like radiators and expansion bottles and that kind of stuff on a car. And I'm so tempted to just get some of that stuff and just try and cobble something together with like a standard 12-volt pump, you know, like your windscreen washer pump. I'm sure it's feasibly possible. And maybe get like a heater matrix out of some Japanese car where they have like a tiny heater matrix for the heaters in the car. I think that would actually be quite fun, seeing if I can make a car heating system work in a PC and actually do it reliably. In theory, it should be okay because the pump would be 12 volts anyway, so that's doable on a SATA connection, or a Molex even. Although I think it's probably going to be quite noisy because most of you probably can remember the last time you were allowed out and went out in your cars, when you do your windscreen washers, the windscreen motor has got that really kind of weird pitch to it, hasn't it? So I don't think that would quite work. Mark says water plus electricity makes me nervous. Yeah, I kind of get where you're coming from. And actually, we have been sent by Be Quiet. Actually, yeah, let's have a quick look at that. They've actually sent us over their what's it called? The Pure Loop 240.
I don't know which way I'll pick.
Thank you. So we've actually got this to take a look at, which is, it's not quite a loop as such, even though it does say Pure Loop. You can refill it, which is quite nice. Sorry?
The PC's turned off.
Damn you, power management.
Tell Steve when it went to sleep.
It went to sleep, crashed, dead. 4. So, the Pure Loop 240mm from Be Quiet, as you can see. So this is yeah, a pre-assembled AIO, pretty much, Pure Loop 240mm, Be Quiet. It's got a little bit of lighting around the actual pump. Oh, sorry, around the oh, what's the word? The block. The pump itself is actually somewhere else. It's got a separate pump, which is pretty decent. Uses Be Quiet fans, so all well and good there. And there's actually a refill port on the radiator, so you can, if you want to, refill the rad, which is nice. And they've even put it in there. I thought it was just some sort of sports drink, but
Free blend it.
yeah. How cool is that? So you do get a Be Quiet Pure Loop coolant, anti-freezing up to -5 degrees C. Clearly we're not going to get anywhere near that, but it's kind of cool that they've included that in there. Yeah, it is. It could be useful in certain places of the world right now.
Probably not low enough.
I'm not going to take all this out because I'm going to do an unboxing properly on it, but it's actually quite a nice assembly, and it's a nice change to not be the same as every other manufacturer on the planet. Anyway, yeah, take a look at that. Got some Be Quiet Pure Wings. These are just the standard Pure Wings 2. I'm not sure if these are 4-pin or 3-pin. They're the 4-pin PWM versions, so that's pretty decent. Nice looking fans, actually. The only thing that holds these back... Oh, actually, I was going to say that it's the RPM, because normally they max out at 1000 RPM. But these are the Pure Wings 2, which actually go up to 2000 RPM. Which you might be able to see.
Pump on the cooling system.
Ah, that's pretty nice. Who is?
Ray.
Who's Ray?
Ray D says he might use his own penal pump on them.
Oh my lord. Ray D, get yourself a room. Ladies and gentlemen, I recommend that you do not use a penis pump on your water cooling system. That is probably not a good idea, and you may offend people. Huh? And hey, we got Kanye West in with us. Kanye, good to see you. Sorry to hear about you and Mrs. Kanye West. That's gone a little bit shit-shape. I do feel sorry for you there, my friend. But on a plus side, it's actually Kath and R's 25th wedding anniversary. Shame you can only do me 7, but you're just a lightweight, clearly.
But you had more kids in it.
Yeah, you did have more kids, so fair play to you for that. Well done. Let's hear it, everyone, for oh man. Oh dear, I have lost the plot. I genuinely have. Kanye West. I can't believe we got Kanye West in the house. That's impressive. I like Kanye. I was gonna say something, and I'm not. I'm gonna hold on to that thought. So no, I'm like I say stuff, and I regret it instantly.
Yeah.
Kanye, are you a gay fish? Ian McLeod says, I wish they can make a cooler for my wife's temper for when I tick her off, lol. I'm trying to even think of how that would even, how that would work. But it does appear to be fun. Kath says, hi Angel. Oh, actually, Angel. Hello, Angel. It's our daughter. A product of our 25-year marriage, almost. Kind of. Were we married then? Yeah, of course we were. Yeah, because she's only. Yeah.
She was 20 the other week.
She was.
We've got no teenagers left
20.
now.
Sad times. Matty says also Kanye, sorry about the presidency. Yeah, I forgot to mention that one. It's been a pretty bad start to the year, hasn't it? No, I was going further than that. Do you like fish sticks? No. I really need help with building, guys. I know how to connect the front panel connector. It won't turn on. In that case, you probably don't know how to wire up a front panel connector. Best thing to do is, with that, we do have a Discord chat, which you're more than welcome to join. You can post some pictures of what you've already put together, and we can have a look at it for you. In these live streams, it's not always the easiest of things to do to give one-to-one help on that kind of thing. But certainly, yeah, that is what the Discord is for. And yeah, you should be able to get some help in there. Ian McLeod says, 5 more days. I have been married to my vortex of evil for 16 years. I am happy she cannot see this. I'd be dead, lol. Brilliant. JK says, hey Mike, my new PC isn't working. We get a lot of that recently. The CPU debug light is on and not booting. I've flashed the latest BIOS and nothing. Is it the CPU? Well, potentially, yes. It could quite easily be the CPU. Without knowing the full spec of it, it's difficult to tell. Again, the same goes for the previous guy. Or girl, or I don't know, whatever. Can't really tell these days. If you want help, a little bit of one-to-one tuition, getting it up and running, and also you can show us pictures of your system, take a picture on your phone, post it on our Discord, and we can guide you and see where potentially you're going wrong. Or it may be a fault with the system, but we don't know until we tested lots of things. So yeah, join the Discord and we can try that. Inline Nike, what's AS? Is that Australian dollars? Not too sure. $5 Australian, I think, possibly. Which one would you prefer? MSI B450 Tomahawk Max or that B450 Pro Max? Are they more or less similar? Thanks. Well, thank you for the super chat. And that is a question which I have actually racked my brains with today, because I've only got the board today. When I look back, I only paid £50 for the B450 Tomahawk Max, and I paid £60 for that. So it's immediately £10 dearer. Although this was technically new because it was like a damaged box from Amazon, whereas the other one was second hand. So I didn't have any idea of what was going on.
It was a bargain price.
It was a good price.
The other one, I meant.
I don't like the brown PCB. If I'm brutally honest, I don't like the brown PCB. Whitechapel and Old Kent Road should not be inside a PC. It's just not right. It didn't. If you can't see it, it's fine. And the board itself has got all the features and it ticks all the right boxes as far as VRM is concerned. As we know, back in the day, the B450 Tomahawk pretty much was the leader of the pack as far as VRMs went. But times have changed, processors have changed, and power requirements have changed as well. So, getting back to the original statement, would I prefer one or the other? I would, if they were the same price, I would have probably gone with the Tomahawk, purely for the aesthetics of it. And I think, if I'm right in thinking, the Tomahawk possibly has an additional M.2 slot. I could be wrong. Actually, I'm gonna have to look that up. Let's have a quick look. Stuart Cleary says is giving us €10 and says cheers for the advice. No problem, Stuart. I'm not sure what advice I gave actually, but thank you.
And thanks for the super chat.
And thanks for the super chat, yeah. B450 Tomahawk Max.
Is that broken again?
I've become Bitwit. RGB thing, turn off now. RGB, go.
You better wait till I get there.
Tomahawk Max. Right, B450 Tomahawk Max. Let's have a look on the MSI website. I've been to this MSI website so long. I am becoming somewhat of an MSI whore. I really am. It's not intentional, I swear. It's good stuff though. So Tomahawk Max. Let's have a closer look. Tomahawk Max. Let's have number 3. There we go. So yeah, Tomahawk Max. So what we've got? We've got M.2 there. So the layout actually is pretty much identical.
Yeah, baby. Yeah.
No, there is only one M.2 slot that I can see there. Let's have a look on the other picture. Why is this not? Have you got USB Type C on there?
Sorry?
Let's have a look. Can I make that? I can't make that any smaller. So same sort of fan headers. Actually, yeah, the Tomahawk Max and the other one pretty much, I would say, are identical. Differences are a little bit on the rear I/O. So rear I/O wise, on the Pro-A, you've got an additional VGA port above the DVI. And where we lose out on one of the USB 3.2 Gen 2 Type A ports, you get a Type C port. But other than that, it's not a great deal in it. I think they both use the same audio chipset. Let's have a look. Specification. Go into detail. So memory wise, I think we're still the same. Yeah, 4133 maximum. Same for the PCI Express slots. HDMI 2.0B with HDR port, 4K 60Hz, which is the same. Two-way crossfire, blah blah blah. 1M.2, yeah, that's right. Yeah, effectively, I think it's exactly the same.
I've got to put on that chair. Let's add on that board.
Gen 1, yeah. Yeah, it's exactly the same. So it's the ALC 892 codec for the audio, and it's the Realtek 8111H for the LAN controller. So effectively, it is exactly the same board, and I don't quite work out really why it does slightly better on VRMs. Very strange. So yeah, it doesn't appear to be any differences at all. BIOS wise, yeah, I think realistically, given the choice between the two, if the Pro-A is cheaper, I would go with that, because effectively it's exactly the same board, apart from being slightly on the brown side. And as you can see, that has a more of a jet black look to it, which is quite nice. So if I look at the bottom, the layout is actually identical. So yeah, the Pro-A, if it's cheap, oh actually, what's that one there? No, that's the fan header. Yeah, a slightly larger fin over the VRM there. That's probably the biggest difference between it, whereas the one on the Dash A cuts off about there. So yeah, that is it. The top one on there is virtually the same. If anything, that might even be smaller. So other than a USB Type-C port, a little bit of overhang on the heatsink, excuse me, and the colour of the board, but other than that, it's pretty much the same deal. So yeah, I think that is to answer that question. Did I miss a super chat?
No.
I'm just wondering.
Jason Woods.
I didn't.
Read it.
Sorry?
Jason Woods, read it.
Jason Woods?
Yeah.
Jason Woods, I can't see. Where's Jason Woods? Jason Woods says, how can you be married for 25 years when you look like a 35-year-old? Thank you, Jason. The checks will definitely be in the post. I wish I was 35. Jesus.
Next month we've been
Thanks,
together
pal.
for 30 years.
Yeah, next month, Kath and I have been together for 30 years, which probably gives away my age a little bit. Not hugely, but a little bit. I have been drinking lots of water, actually, last few days. Don't know if it's helping out the skin and the looks. It won't help out the looks, will it? Let's be honest. I do look like I have an argument with a golf shoe when my face was on fire. I really do. Rady says, I'm not a wrinkle. Yeah, but you should see... no, actually, I'm not.
You should see his bed sheet.
Yeah.
He leaves them on there.
Oh, dear. Line Nike says, thanks a lot. Really appreciate the in-depth response. Love your channel, mate. Thank you very much. Thanks for stopping by. Thanks for a super chat. Matty says, you live in Bristol. Does my accent give that away? A little? Yes, I do live in Bristol. The wonderful county and city of Bristol. Although technically we don't live in the county, we're in South Gloucestershire, but it is the city of Bristol, the county of Gloucester, which used to be Avon. It's confusing, it really is. Outlaw Fett says, after show chat after. Quite possibly.
Well, you've got work.
Dom says, and some smoothies. Yeah, smoothies. Although I've not done many on the smoothies because I did, well, one of the smoothie packets was kind of a little bit on the light side, to say the least, so that's not gone quite that well. Unexperienced Zerka says, please help me. Okay. I just installed new RAM and my PC is not turning on. I would say reset the CMOS and try again. It probably needs to do some memory training, or your memory just isn't compatible or not firmly installed in the motherboard. Again, as I said before, if you're not too sure, then feel free to head on over to the Discord and we can try and help you out. Take some pictures, show us what's going on. It's a really easy thing to do, actually, the Discord. Just join up, You don't have to pass any pop quizzes, you don't have to be a member for X amount of days, you literally get straight in, go to technical support, ask your questions, and then if you want to, you can F off. If not, you're more than welcome to hang around and hang out with all the other guys that are, and girls obviously, that are cool and helpful and all that kind of stuff. And
Not me.
we don't just talk about tech, we talk about all kinds of crap, which basically is like
That's
a stream. Yeah.
Because I don't know tech.
Jason Wood says, being married that long, you defo need a beer, fella. I don't actually drink a great deal, if I'm completely honest, which may
be all nice about me then.
Which may be, yeah, I don't need my beer glasses on to look over in Kath's general direction. And tonight she's got this really low cut top on, which is really off-putting. It's like looking at Phil and Grant Mitchell.
It's like looking in a mirror. Those magic mirrors with two of your heads in.
Oh dear. Mark Berry says the MSI B450 Gaming Plus Max was virtually the same spec as the Tomahawk. It's absolutely right. Yeah, it is completely. The MSI range, the B450s, there was the Tomahawk, the Carbon, not the Carbon AC, but the Carbon, the Gaming Max, the Pro-A, and I think there's one other as well, which all had basically exactly the same setup. Never mind that, what shoes does she have on? Oh dear. Sorry, I'm just looking through the comments there. No. Urban Damage Gaming says, I think the B450 Aorus Elite is better. I would agree. The Mortar Max Outlaw FET is, although based around a similar setup, because it's the B450M, there were actually some reductions across the board on that, which sadly meant the VRM wasn't quite as good. Whether it's, I think it used the same components, but because it didn't have the same size heat sinks, it just suffered more. And actually, what we could do, if I look into, I'm not sure if I'm going to be able to do it on here, because my favourites, oh yes I can.
Can I put the flame on that box on there? See if you go on.
Yeah, go on then. Where are we? V-Core. Let's see. Right, okay. Here we go. So this is where I get most of my information from. Some of you have probably seen this already. It's actually really handy, especially for some of these older boards, if you're picking up bargains and trying to work out what is good and what is bad. So this is the AM4 V-Core VRM rating. So essentially this is a rating of how good or bad the VRMs or essentially overclocking or cooling is going to be. So at the top you've got the OC for the various processors. If you go on to the work in progress, 1.5 adds a few more CPUs into the mix. So if you've got 2700X or one of these processors, then you can look into that as well. And obviously it gives in stock as well. So basically a 3950 OC is like top of the line, whereas if you're dropping down to stock settings, it's kind of in this kind of 125 amp section. So you get the general idea. So 75 amp, all boards should do easily. 100 amp, again, should be very similar. Pretty much every single board on the market should do 125. It's the 150 and the 200 amps, which are the ones which cause the problems. So if we look down through and we go down to, oh, I've gone off a little bit. So MSI, as we know, the X570 boards didn't do particularly well. In fact, they were shocking, is the honest answer. So obviously the Tomahawk Wi-Fi, great board. The Ace is a great board. Godlike and Unify, fantastic boards. And also obviously the Creation. But the normal range of boards, the Pro-A, the Gaming Plus and the Pro Carbon Wi-Fi, all suffered, and the Gaming Edge Wi-Fi for that matter. They all did pretty badly, even around the kind of 150 mark, which they shouldn't do because they're X570 boards. If we look down further, even some of ASRock's B450 boards, not a million miles off. But what we're really looking for here is our MSI boards. So this is MSI for the X470 and the B550 range. And there we go. So there is the Mortar. And I think there was a Mortar Max. Oh yeah, the Titanium and the Max, that's the variants of it. So they use the same setup. So actually not too bad at all. The B450M Bazooka, Actually, was it the mortar you said earlier? I can't remember. I think it was. So if it's the mortar, actually, yeah, I stand corrected. The mortar actually done quite well, and it was the bazooka I was thinking of. The bazooka didn't do particularly well, but again, it's not not overly far off. I'm not sure what's going on here actually, because this is a micro version, isn't it? Sorry, don't listen to me, stupid. So yeah, B450, the micro ATX versions, which are kind of from here downwards, you can see there is more of a trend for them doing worse in these kind of overclock situations. So essentially a slightly weaker VRM. So which one were we looking at? The mortar? Actually no, yeah, it's using the SM, whereas the rest of them, most of the decent MSI boards at the top here, even the X470s, which all do pretty decent as well. Most of the MSI B450 and X470 range use these combinations. So you've got the 4C029N and 4C024N combination for your high and lows. So for your power stages, again, not overly loaded. Only the four phases, which isn't massive.
What's that? Ionz 16?
Yes.
Sorry.
So yeah, as you can see, they've done pretty well. ASRock, yeah, not so good. On the B350s, Asus again, sort of thing. But anyway, this is a really good site to check out if you're not too sure. You can have a look through and see what the general consensus is. Something like the Steel Legend, which is an extremely popular board, variants 1 and 2, again up to the 150 mark. So a stock 3950X, no problem at all. If you're looking to overclock, 3950X is not recommended at all, but 3800, that sort of thing, overclocked with some moderate cooling, should be absolutely fine. So yeah, really good information there. I will, I'll copy and paste that actually, and I'll put it into the chat, so you can check those out. If anyone's interested, you can go there and check it out. It's really cool. I like it. Matty says, Steel Legend RGB.
I think it's okay.
You sure?
Yeah. Joseph was asking how to do the
There we go.
CMOS battery, but Patrick answered.
Ooh. I just realised actually there's very, very minimal lag across OBS at the moment. I've been messing around again with settings and wiring and cabling this week, so I'm fed up of every single time, because like, this is our living room. We actually eat dinner at this table, so this isn't like some separate studio in the house. This literally, well, for those of you that know and have seen around, this is our living room. There's a wood fire there, there's the window there out to the back garden, kitchen's over there. This is our dining room, but it's yeah, it does double up as a studio as well, so yeah, you get the general idea. So put some cabling in. Actually, I can't really even show you because the camera, excuse me, the camera is above me, the overhead shot, and you can see all the wiring.
Shall I try and do it?
Yeah, see if you can do it, Kath. I don't think there's anything incriminating anywhere. So if you look up, there's the overhead camera. And I've just put in a new HDMI cable, which is the white cables. I deliberately put white cables in so that it didn't stick out like a sore thumb. Then I thought, actually, there is, yeah, there's a massive black, like, adjustable bar there. So it's not worked out very well. The wooden bit that is attached to, the ceiling is a really old 1930s ceiling made of kind of slat and lav plaster or that kind of thing. So you can't mount anything onto it. So I've had to put that, basically I found an old piece of white skirting when I was at work that someone was chucking away. So I grabbed it, cut it down, attached it there, and I got everything attached to it. So there you go, there's a little bit of behind the scenes stuff for you there.
Right above the scenes.
Yeah, right above the scenes. Robert Van Newark, I think that probably is done. Says, hey Mike, I'm excited for Monday, receiving my new ASRock B450M Steel Legend. Not trying to brag, just wanted to share, really appreciate your channel. That is awesome. The B450M Steel Legend Yeah, great board. We just discussed it just now about some of the settings on there. For most people, it's going to be absolutely fine. If you're overclocking a really high-end I nearly said 9, a Ryzen 9 or a Ryzen 7 with tons of cores, yeah, clearly it's going to run into some issues later on down the line. But for a decent mid-range gaming PC with like 6 cores, 12 threads, or maybe even 8 cores, 16 threads, going to be absolutely fine. So yeah, hopefully you enjoy your build. Ugly Bob says, with it getting warmer now, has the spider in the corner appeared yet? No, I don't know where that spider's gone. I've had all those boxes out, and as is always the way, whenever I change anything on the computer, normally what I do is, I don't know if you guys do this, like if you've built a PC, you've got your old PC box, haven't you? So what do you do with it? You generally keep it. Cheers, Ricardo. Take care, mate. You put all your old stuff in the box, so all the empty boxes, all the packaging stuff, chuck inside the PC box, keep it all nice and safe, which is a sensible thing to do. But I also put in things like my keyboard and mouse box. So if I ever need to send them back or whatever, then I've got the boxes and I know where it is. So my PC's got all my stuff in, Kath's PC box has got all her stuff in, the streaming PC behind's got its own box with all its own stuff in. You get the general idea. So whenever I move anything, change a keyboard, change a mouse, I've got to pull out all those boxes, go through them all, get my keyboard and mouse box out or whatever, change it over, put it back in. I wish I could just throw away boxes, but I do have this OCD thing where I can't do it. I don't know why, I just cannot do it. It drives me slightly mad. Do you guys have the same problem? I'm thinking you do. Insvan for me, can't access the system. Oh dear. Rady says you should make adult movies in your spare time with that camera set up. It'd have to be a seriously deep fake, I think, to make any money there. Anthony Carter says I got a Gigabyte Intel Z490 RS Pro AX, good board. There doesn't seem to be a lot of love for Intel stuff. It really doesn't. I've noticed it more and more. Any video I do which has got anything related to do with Intel just bombs completely. And it's not just me, it's all the other YouTubers as well. You see it. What's it? BPS Customs, Brian. He did a video about Intel stuff. Virtually no views at all. Hardly worth him even doing it. Does seem to be a thing. I'm really hoping that 11th gen turns it around and makes it more popular again. Be nice to see. Ian says, I keep all my boxes in my workshop, makes life easy when you label them. It definitely does. It does. I put labels on all sorts of stuff now.
I'm fastest.
Biohazard says, yes, I do. Slow Forward says, I need a PC build that I can edit my videos.
I
need a PC build that can edit my videos. Video editing is one of those really, really awkward things. You can edit videos on an absolute potato of a PC, but it's not a particularly enjoyable experience. But it depends what you're actually used to. If you're not used to a really smooth, slick feel when you're editing, then it's really difficult. I notice it massively because I've been quite, not spoilt, but I've worked hard for the stuff we've got. So I've got a decent processor, decent graphics card, decent system in general for video editing. So it still feels relatively slick, although it still does chug along sometimes when you're doing certain things. So I don't know how you'd get an ultra slick experience for video editing. You must need an absolute ridiculous amount of RAM and resources to do it, because even just two 1080p streams, 50 frames per second, really can bring a system to its knees quite easily. So it depends what you're after. Massey says, is the Ryzen 5 2600 still considered okay? Yeah, definitely. Absolutely. The Ryzen 5 2600 is actually a really potent processor with some good cooling, and you can get some decent overclocks out of it, and it performs like an absolute dream. John says, I think people are bored of 14 nanometer plus, etc., etc. David Aiken says I've not got boxes everywhere. It's a real pain in a small flat. Yeah,
He's not, or he has.
we've got a lot of. I'll say we've got a lot of room. We've got a reasonable amount of room, but for those that have kind of seen in here, basically I've got shelves everywhere in here. So there's stuff all on the wall. So rather than actually having it all packed away somewhere, I'm actually using it and displaying it. So yeah, storage is definitely an issue. Over there is, on that side of the room, is all the stuff that I'm yet to film. So there's an Ionz case, there's another Ionz case, there's some Synology stuff. Actually, there's a joystick there. I've done that. That's just storage. There is also, if anybody wants it and they're near Bristol, I've got a NZXT S340 case in white. It's a bit grubby. It needs a clean. But if anybody near Bristol wants it, yeah, let me know. I will hook you up. It's even got a box. But I need to get rid of it because it's driving me insane. Or if anybody wants it for postage price, get on the Discord and let me know. And you can have it for the price of postage. Stefan says, the star has arrived. I love that cat. Oh, bless.
He won't stay. He's gone out now.
Matty says, did you hear about the MAL Epic Games bought? No, I didn't. That's quite interesting. Urban Damage Gaming says, I'm using Ryzen 5 2600 and overclocked it to 4 GHz. And it runs like a dream, but I'm looking at getting a Ryzen 7 5800X. Stuart's going now, heading out to the nightclub.
What are they?
Nightclub. I haven't been to a nightclub since Chasers in Kingswood, which was 1994? 5? No, what year did we get married? 6.
Yeah, it must have been.
So yeah, 95, 96. It was before we got married, I know, because I was at Booker, not Booker. I was at Wicks.
Yeah.
So it was probably before.
We did get married.
Well, could have been. It was the 90s. Over 25 years ago. Incredible. Matty says, how much for the case? Depends where you are. If you're near Bristol and you're collecting, let me know. Matty says, I'm near Radstock, 30 minutes from Bath. I'll take it. Well, I was going to do it for the price. It's not actually mine. It's my son's case. So I was going to just basically do it for the price of postage. But if you're collecting it, I don't know. Well, get me on Discord or drop me an email. Email address is at the bottom. I can't believe I'm actually shilling myself on a stream. How cool is that? If you're 40...
also Jason Woods and Swindon. So.
Oh, Jason Woods and Swindon saying it as well. Oh god, we'll have to fight over it, or I'll flip a coin. We'll sort it out. Ugly Bob says, I look at old Hitman and her videos on YouTube and at what we were wearing and dancing to. Shocking. Oh, I still love it. Actually, this week, because some of you may have noticed, I've done a new Synology video for the new Drive Station 420 Plus, which I've been sorting out my NAS and figuring out everything on there. And I've actually was going through it because I've got a lot of my music collection on there. Well, pretty much actually all of my music collection on there. I was going through some of my old tunes that I've got on there, which I've accumulated over the years. And there's some belters on there. The 80s and early 90s were absolutely fantastic years for music. They genuinely were. And every time I go through it and I look at my old music collection, just loving it, loving it, loving it.
Uggs is looking at the shoes.
Uggs is into shoes, yeah. He's looking at the fluorescent orange stilettos. Domba says, hello, my name is Dominic. I love to take apart PCs in my free time. You're amongst good company there. I've been saving money lately for a PC and want to know what kind of GPU will I need to play some of the newer titles on 60 FPS. It depends what your expectations are. If you don't mind having lower settings, even an APU will do it to some extent. If you want it all to look shiny, then you're going to have to spend the money. Domba says, again, I want to upgrade from my old PC. Jason says, if somebody wants it more than me, let them have it. Oh, God. We'll see what we can do. So, we'll sort someone out.
We sell the cases in our Discord, so
yeah, if you do any of the stuff that we get rid of to members and stuff, we put it on our Discord first, so you're more than welcome to have a look in there. Oh, gotta stop talking. Outlaw Fett says, should have never mentioned that case, Mike. People will go mental for it, like Bob with shoes. That is very true. Matty says, I'll email you. Cool, no worries. Right, okay, I think we've pretty much exhausted, exhausted pretty much all of what we were going to discuss tonight. The build is definitely going to go ahead, assuming I can get the parts together, which should be in the next day or two, so we'll look forward to doing that. If you want to join us for a live stream, please feel free to do so. I don't know exactly when it's going to be, but it'll probably be maybe mid-afternoon, early evening.
This week, last week.
But, yeah.
Different one that was.
Oh, it was, yeah. Yeah, it's been a funny week. I've accumulated a load of videos and, yeah, different priorities. It's bizarre. So, anyway, did you need... Just saw a question there. Did you need extra front fans for the NZXT H510 Black? I've never had the H510. Not done that one. That must have been another YouTuber. Sorry. Not me. Matty says, save the case for me. Okay, will do. Right, I'm gonna wrap this one up. Thank you all for watching. If you want to join us in the after show chat, feel free to do so on our Discord. Whilst I'm de-rigging everything, Kath will be taking your questions and general stuff. No doubt, Cosmic Space Cadet Muffin thing will be in there, drunk as usual. It does a lot of that. And some of our other usual. So if you want to join us, feel free to do that. But thank you all for your super chats and for your comments and stuff. And if you want to, obviously, if you want to see the video on this budget build we're doing, don't forget to subscribe and all that stuff. And do us a favour, do me a solid, click on the like button, and when the video's finished and processed, leave a comment on there or something just to help out the YouTube algorithm. I don't like to do it. I don't like to beg and ask for these things, but sadly, it is what it is, and if you don't do it, then YouTube basically shoves you down the toilet, like they did when you were in school. But there's a lot more turds in the bowl right now. Anyway, moving on from that, thank you all for the super chats, etc., and we'll see you in the chat on Discord.
You have away words.
I do have away words. Right, end stream, yes. Thanks for watching, guys and girls, and we'll see you in the next one. Bye!